Sigue La Lucha.
The fight for immigrant voices. There's a saying in our community, La lucha sigue, the fight never ends. For every voice that is silenced, 1,000 more rise. This is the fight for immigrant voices.
Sigue La Lucha, a fight for immigrant voices. Natalie, we're back for part 2. Are you ready for this?
We're back, and we're talking to a special guest today. We're doing the DACA roundtable, and I have a great guest, Paulina Olvera, who is a designer, stylist, and entrepreneur. And she's been, going through her journey,
Yes.
and we wanted her to share her journey as well.
Yeah.
Much for having me here. I really appreciate the platform, and I can't wait to continue sharing my story.
Yes, and Paulina, we want to start first by asking you. So our series is called Sigue La Lucha, Fight for Immigrant Voices. So when you hear that title in general, like, what is that? What type of feelings, emotions, or what does that mean to you?
When I hear that, I hear, I feel a lot of hope, and I feel warmth, because I feel happy that I can share my story and that I can put a face to what I went through. Sorry guys, I'm so nervous.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, first we're very happy that you're here, because it takes a lot of courage too. It takes a lot of courage for you to be here with us and to tell your story. And I think that we're really honored to be able to have you here. So because again, there's a lot of folks, in present time right now that are, going through so much. And I think, your bravery and your courage, I think is going to go a long way for those that will be listening and watching and learning from your story. So, we're nervous too, but we're also very happy that we're here together today. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's all about educating to others, because I think that's telling your story is all about educating and uplifting and really motivating others, and especially like the storytelling of other people might be not as vocal. This is all about the fight for immigrant voices, because we want to make sure that they know that there's people out there that are supportive. There's people like you who are coming out and really speaking their stories out in light. So I want to know about your journey growing up and really understanding your status and how it was changed for you. When were you aware of that? Did you ever feel different from everybody else in your peers? Aside from, being a fashionista, but, really in the general setting of status and, papeles and everything. I know that it was really hard for a lot of individuals to recognize that, especially as children.
Yes. So first off, I want to start by saying that I feel like right now the world is really divided, and me being here is hope for people to come together, because I realize that the more I share my story, the more people feel empathy towards me. And that's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want people to treat me like a person, to make me feel supported, to make me feel like I can be here.
Yeah. So
that's part of the reason why I'm here, because it's giving me a voice, and it's giving the other people enlightenment to know that there's a human behind the story. So thank you so much, guys, for doing this for me, and for doing it for the rest of the people that are also struggling. Because I have the privilege to have DACA, but a lot of people don't. And all they can do is be hidden. That's how they feel, hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, this is deep, and I think we want to make sure that as we, just have listen to you, that hopefully folks feel like their stories all matter too. And that that's supposed to be what community looks like. That we shouldn't feel like we have to hide, especially when immigrants, regardless of status, in that sense of what it means to be here, whether legally or not, undocumented or not, is that immigrants like yourself, like us, we contribute so much, to our society, and I know that you're a person that contributes a lot too, and I want to really get to know and have our audience know you too, Paulina, as far as like, just tell us a little bit about just what do you remember from your childhood growing up too,
Yeah, well, I was born in Tijuana, and my parents lived with me for part of my childhood. They were with me, and I remember like playing in my grandma's like front yard, and I would have my cousins over, and we'd play tag, and I loved playing on the dirt. It was fun to me. I remember waking up and seeing my grandma wash clothes like outside in the front yard, and she would feed her birds. She had caged birds, and I actually have both of my grandmas. They're neighbors, and that's how my parents met. So I would run from one grandma's house to the other grandma's house.
That's nice. Yeah. And
it was nice because I could always eat. If one grandma was cooking, the other one wasn't, and it was always back and forth. So that was from when I was born to like when I was 5, and when I was like around 5 years old, my parents decided to move to the U.S. and to strive for a better life for me and my brother.
Yeah.
And at that time, my mom had a visa, so my mom was able to come back and forth, but my dad wasn't. So I had to stay with my grandma behind because at that moment they didn't have any money to also bring me along or my brother. So I spent a good amount of months under my grandma's care, and well, both of my grandmas, and my mother would come visit me in the weekends when she was not working, and that was the way I would just see my mom because I couldn't see my dad. And my brother was able to cross first, and then it was eventually my turn to cross. And I remember vividly how it was really hard because I felt very separated, as a 5-year-old. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why. But I just knew that it was for something greater and bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I had to trust. So when eventually I crossed over, I remember that being the first time that I'm like, I remember that first time knowing that whatever happened, it was for the better of me, and that I had to be strong. I had to be strong for me, for my mom, for my dad, and for my brother.
Yeah.
And I remember knowing how much I wanted it to cross over just to be with them, because that's all I wanted to do was be with them.
Stay together, family.
As a family,
and I'm being just like, again, like a 5-year-old, right? Where it's like, 5-year-olds should just be worried about like, just learning some new stuff, like playing, like you said, like, like really trying to enjoy your childhood. And instead, right, you have to endure this separation. These, for different reasons why people come, like you said, like they wanted a better life for y'all, your parents, and the sacrifices. I could only imagine two of your parents, your grandmas to, have to all contribute to, make this, a reality for you guys to have a better life. And then within that, like, all the stuff that you have to endure, and also, at the same time, like, cross over here and like, and know that you come here to contribute, you come here to, make this community here a better place as well. But it's these things that, like you talk about, that really also resonate with me because, a similar situation for me when I crossed over. It was about like when I was like about 4 too, so it's just the fact that you also kind of like still like hold this so deeply, especially I'm sure with what's going on, like is a tough one to carry. It's heavy to carry, you know. Yeah, but how do you from that time to maybe when you were a little older? Did you kind of feel then because of that experience you know, a little different, or when you're now here, you know, so now you're here in the U.S. How was that for you? Kind of adapting to a new environment, new culture,
with the
a new
major
style.
responsibility too that's carrying, you have to be strong, and for a 5-year-old or young child to be strong for their family, it's really different. You know, it's not something that most children should be dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, truthfully, I didn't feel different. I didn't feel different. I knew that we carried a burden of being illegal here, you know, because my parents made it very clear. But I didn't feel any different. And when I went to school, I know my parents are really excited for me to learn English and for me to be in a different environment. And my dad used to work really close to my school, so he'd pick us up, drop us off, or sometimes we would actually walk home because we were really, our neighborhood was really close. Everything was really close, so we'd walk, and then he'd watch over us sometimes. He'd
nice.
Sneak up on us and see they're walking home. So it wasn't too much of a culture shock for me because I was just 5 years old, you know,
and you're with your family now, you know?
And I did. One thing that did stick with me was that we were here for a better life.
Yeah.
We were here for a better life. That's the reason why we were here. And the way that my parents would just work endlessly, you know, it made me really proud. It made me really proud because even though we spent a lot of time alone, I knew that there was a purpose. This all had a purpose. You know, me going through that really tough experience there was a reason behind it. And I feel as I kept growing up, when I was in high school is when that was the first time that I felt different. That was the very first time, because of the fact that school applications were coming in, and I was like, wait a minute, what am I gonna do?
So when you're a teenager looking for colleges, this comes up and you're like, wait, I can't apply a normal.
Yes, there was that burden. That was the first time that I felt that burden.
There's an actual challenge now, a roadblock now, right?
Yes. That's how I felt. And I'm like, wait, I actually do have a really big difficulty here that can limit me, and I have to figure it out. Because one thing that I learned is that through my parents is that we always figure it out. No matter what the situation is, no matter how difficult it is, we figure it out. And I feel part of that is because of how much we've had to endure. Yeah. How much we've had to just sustain for ourselves, you know. I feel every hard challenge that we faced, we continue to prove ourselves that we can do it. So as I saw it through my parents, I'm like, this is a roadblock, but it's also an opportunity, you know. And as how I would see them so positively going through life, and how hardworking, how loving they were to me and my brother, I knew that I can also be that way with my life and not allow that to stop me. Yeah. So thankfully, I was very blessed to have DACA. It was a perfect timing because I was going to graduate in 2016, and then I got DACA a year before. So nice, I was 17 when I got it.
And again, sometimes it goes back to just that timing. Yeah. You know, because you know, for me and my parents too, it was you know, we were undocumented too, you know, and it wasn't until 86 when Ronald Reagan signed the amnesty at that point, right? That again, if you were just around during that time, right, you were lucky enough to apply and do all of that, you know, that process, and you know, then you had legal status, right? But it's it's sometimes just that luck, right? But again, it's like, but it also goes to show like the impact of like who's in power, both in Congress, the White House, and how these things could have either a really positive impact on folks or a really negative impact on individuals, you know, and families. But like, so you had DACA, which is like, ooh, okay, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, how was that? Like, just for you in general, like that process of like, okay, I actually, you know, I'm gonna be okay, you know, to some extent. Yeah.
Well, for the first time, I felt supported.
Yeah.
I felt supported. I'm like, well, there's hope here.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the first time that I see a light, like through the government. You know, and I feel, I'm like, okay, like this is for me, and I am very privileged because my parents don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, and they wake up every day with that burden, you know, of being undocumented. And you know, and I think the biggest part was my mom's like, well, now that you have DACA, you're ready to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ponte a trabajar. Right?
For
Yeah.
a 16-year-old, 17-year-old
Yeah.
They're like, you're ready to work now.
Yeah.
aspiring to go to college,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and because again, they carry that like we're here for
Yeah.
a purpose.
Yeah.
Like
We're
everyone
here-
needs to contribute.
Needs to give back.
Yeah.
My dad's like, okay, you're ready to go to work, honey. Like, let's, you know. And I that was the first time that I got an actual job. Like, I applied to places, and I ended up working at a taco shop, and it was a fun experience. But I'm like, well, this is beautiful. Like, again, like I have a purpose here, and it's for bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know, it's bigger than me, and the reason why I felt very blessed is that, you know, DACA gives you a social security, and that allows you to work here lawfully.
Yeah.
And whenever you don't have that social security, you have to work under the table, or you have to work with a private person, or, you know. So it's very hard for you to get benefits. It's very hard for you, to just be here, like get pay stubs, things like paperwork, right?
Yeah.
And I would see my mom struggle, you know. Until this day, I see my mom struggle because she doesn't have that.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't have that. And when I got that social security, I'm like, well, I have to use it, but also like push forward.
Yeah.
Push forward.
Kind of like now that you have this, like take advantage of it,
Yes.
and how you contribute, not just to yourself but to your family too. Because now you have this like responsibility, like your mom and parents are saying, now it's time for you to work, right?
Yeah.
But it's because you have this, and like for you, Paulina, like going through those like experiences, and then like having to like carry this extra burden of like, oh wow, like I have to kind of like carry a lot more weight, you know, for the family. Like, how have you either processed that, like, you know, like in your adulthood, to even just like yeah, how do you like both carry it but also like, you know, take a little time out from it, you know, like, or do you, you know, like, because it's a lot to carry as well, especially in these times, you know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm learning that myself, like because through my whole journey, just crossing the border was one thing, but my parents separated, and that was another thing, and there was just like a continuation of battles, you can say, and now I'm looking at my, you know, my past, and I think, well, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Because I continue to prove myself that, but I also have to allow myself to just feel and to be soft, and to know that it's okay. It's okay to open my heart, and it's okay to share my past. And to share those burdens that I've carried. That's okay, because my whole life I've had to be strong.
Yeah.
Like, just from crossing the border, that was the very first obstacle that I was like, you have to be strong. And then my parents divorced, you have to be strong. And going to school, you have to be strong because you have to finish.
Yeah.
So I'm allowing myself that right now, and it's taking me a while because it's not easy to know that it's not easy to let your guard down, to just release.
Yeah.
To just say, like, you know what, like, all these things, they have a meaning, but also, like, you seriously went through them.
Yeah.
You know, give yourself some grace.
Absolutely. You know, one of my questions is, we have such a big platform where we reshape the narrative, and we've been talking about this in the previous episode about, you know, there's a lot of just narratives out there that are very harmful towards the community and Latino community in general. But, you know, speaking of like the undocumented, illegal, those type of narratives keep coming up in the verbiage, mass media, mainstream media, that is, again, harmful and creating, you know, making us a target, right? And how do you feel about those narratives, and what do you hope to reshape, you know, with the verbiage of the illegal being actually labeled illegal that you did, which we clarify that it's not a criminal you know, narrative. It's actually, it's more a federal offense rather than a criminal, but we keep using those narratives. So how do you feel about that? What are you, you know, what have you been reshaping even within yourself, you know? Because we've been fed all of this harmful, negative narratives within us, even as you crossing the border as a child, right?
Well, we're human. Like, I think that I really want people to know that behind all those words, there's actually humans that have really big heart, and that have work ethic, that have love, that have stories to share. And I think, like, now I myself, I'm going through a journey of just being more welcoming to others, and trying to understand their side, giving them empathy for what they've been through, and knowing that I'm here, you know, like with my community, with the people that surround me. Like, I'm here to empower, and I'm here to share, like, my little piece of the whole pie, you can say. So I think right now my goal is to continue sharing my piece, and continue spreading awareness of what I went through.
Yeah. No, and thank you for also just being here for that, because that awareness is so important, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so important. And I think as we, you know, Natalie and I have been talking about this series, I mean, just the importance of talking about this, and being able to, like, share and discuss, but also, you know, not just because of these times, but because, you know, we need to continue to reshape the narrative of, like, what it means to be an immigrant in this country.
Yeah.
You know, and the sacrifices and struggles that so many folks go through. And, you know, we can look at data. I look at a lot of data, but like you said, Paulina, it's, you know, behind every number is a human. You know, behind every person that's detained by ICE, there's a human journey there. You know, there's a family behind it, and there's sometimes, fortunately, separations behind that, and you know, a lot of trauma that goes into it. And tell me, I want to just kind of know a little bit more from you, like, what through all this process, and, like, you know, getting into, like, what your reason why your parents brought you here for a better life, right? What are some of those aspirations, those goals that you were able to have, like, being here? And what are those things that you yourself feel so proud of already accomplishing? And I'm sure you got a lot more to accomplish too, right? But so far, tell us, Paulina.
Well, you know, getting out of high school, that was really big for me, and then getting accepted into a university, I think that was one, like, of the biggest accomplishments that I've had. You
know, folks come here for, once again, like, for a better life.
Yeah.
And I think seeing, like, Paulina, you know, come here and really try to, like, again, like, live out the dream that her parents came here
dream
to do, you know, and doing it in their own style and way, you know? But yeah, Paulina, like, what has that looked like for you? Like, just, you know, you accomplishing what you already have, and, like, you know, what are some of those dreams that you feel proud of now reaching? And
Well, my parents, they came here for a better life and they didn't have the opportunity to go to school. So for me, education was really important. And when I got into a 4-year university, I was really proud of that because I was like, well, now I'm giving myself a whole new life, it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm able to move out of my parents' house and I'm able to experience a dorm life and I'm able to experience getting an education and learning about myself and what I want to do for the future. And as I was developing that and knowing more about myself, I realized that I really wanted to get into politics because of this reason. I was thinking, there was multiple things I was debating into when I was getting into college and deciding my major. And one of it was politics because of my situation being undocumented, and I felt like I wanted to impact people's lives. And I know that was one of the main things, that I wanted to impact people's lives. And through politics, I was like, maybe I can be a lawyer, or maybe I can be some type of representative or something like that. And then I was also thinking psychology because I really wanted to learn about myself, and I really wanted to know like all these hardships, like why I went through them. I remember so much thinking like, why did I have to go through this? What is the purpose of this? And then the third one was design, and it was fashion. And I realized that, like, I want to be free. I want to be free. And I remember thinking that so much that I was like, what is the pathway that's going to allow me to be the most free? And it was clothes. It was a creative expression, because there's no limits there. There's no system. There's no rules. It's only me, myself, and I, and what I want to share with the world. And that's the reason why I chose design. Because I'm like, I want to learn about myself.
Because the whole time you've been told who you are, and what you should be, not just by society, the government, but also family telling you have this responsibility, be strong, we crossed here for a reason. So now you've got the opportunity to break into something that you've been working really hard. One of the things that the narratives that are out there is that documented immigrants are taking jobs, not realizing that there's work behind what they're doing.
Exactly,
How do you feel about that, especially with all the work that you put into college, getting a job, getting the opportunities? And even though I know you still express that you have privilege, because it's crazy to think I have a privilege to help out others. But you yourself have been working so hard your whole entire life, and now you want to be free.
Yeah. It sounds like immigrants are like creating jobs.
Yeah, it sounds like that
jobs,
too.
But how is that? Like being able to being able to have done that too already, right? Like going into design and kind of like being free with your creative expression in what you do professionally too.
Well, that again has been a journey in itself. Everything is a journey.
Of course.
And I realized I had to really dig deep into myself and really learn about me and learn about the purpose behind all the traumas that I went through, and learn that creating is my power. Yeah. Creating is like, I feel the most powerful when I create. Nice. And when I create an image, when I create a fabric, when I put together colors, when I put together patterns, when I put together people, when like a setting, like I realize like that's the most powerful. That's how I feel the most powerful.
And you make others people feel powerful.
Yeah. Big shout out to you, Paulina, because I never had a designer before. Paulina was my first designer ever. and big shout out to you when we partnered up for the Chicano Elegance Gala back in 2024. And again, it was like nothing that, and what was so beautiful about the way you were so meticulous about the design too is, and I could tell you're such a creative in that sense that you took pretty much elements that we already had in our homes, so it wasn't like we had to go too much beyond that, and then you created something so beautiful that was expressive, had identity attached to each individual, like myself and the other crew members that you helped design for that particular gala. And again, it was it was very empowering, the whole experience, and you made it so to feel at ease for someone that has never, again, like gone through that process. And you could tell like you were glowing, both like in the process and then also at the gala, like seeing us like with your creations, Yeah.
Your upbringing has such an impact on your creativity, and I just want to know too, what's your advice to the youth that's coming up that, maybe those who are undocumented or even children of undocumented who carry those responsibilities of their parents too, because sometimes when they have they have a privilege, so they have to work towards what their parents wanted or to help their parents. You're breaking free, and you chose this life and this lifestyle, and even though it's a journey, you're still going towards it. So what's your advice for you?
To let your heart guide you, because at the end of the day, if you don't do things with love, they're not going to resonate with others, and you and through that love you learn about yourself. And I think, at least for me, that's the purpose of this life, to keep learning about myself. So I think the main thing is to guide yourself with love and to not stop. No matter the situation, no matter how hard it is, there's a bigger purpose that you have to trust, because it's part of your story and it's part of you. So honor it and just keep going. And yeah, the road can be hard. There's ups and downs, but through the resilience and through everything that you've already conquered, you have to honor that. And give yourself respect for that, because not a lot of people were built for it. So.
And on that note too, then like, what do you see for yourself? How is that love for your community, your parents, your family, your profession, design? How do you see that like flourishing more so in the future?
Well, I think as I continue to develop myself as a creative, like, I know I'm a badass. Like,
there we go. Come on now.
I've proven it to myself, and that's all I've had to prove to myself, But I'm in a point in my life where I'm like, okay, how much of a badass are you? How far are you gonna get? And I think like I continue to challenge myself with that, because every day is a challenge, and I want to keep growing and give myself the biggest platform to share my story and to empower others and to continue to be free through my creations and continue sharing that love that I have for art and for design and for people.
Yeah, wow. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for showing us the human and story behind all of these labels, because I think we definitely want to showcase that to the community and educate them and make them understand that there's voices out here. We are fighting for those immigrant voices and Sigue La Lucha, and we're excited to continue on with the next episodes.
Yes, absolutely. I think I just want to thank you again, Paulina, just for being here, for sharing your story, like I said earlier, like for being courageous and brave to actually share such deep and meaningful and powerful experiences that you have gone through, and we just hope you like continue, right, to just like strive.
We're rooting for you, bro. We're rooting for you.
Right. And we just want to just thank, of course, our whole entire production team for today for making this happen possible. We want to also thank Debbie Espresso and Wine Bar here in the city of San Fernando for just allowing us also to be here to be able to share in community. And with that said, please tune in for our next episode of Sigue La Lucha, Fighting for Immigrant Voices. Again, my name is Hector.
My name is Natalie from Chica in the City. And then our next episode is going to be about the resources, lawyers. So tune in for that, episode 3, and we'll follow it through. Thank you.
All right. Peace, y'all.